Which parts of England do I recommend for a buy-to-let property investment with a budget of about £100,000, looking for 3-bedroomed houses preferably? Well, to answer that, there are 3 areas that I absolutely love for buy-to-let property investing at the moment, or flip-to-let property investing, or a BRR, whichever one you want to call it. And the first area I absolutely love, and this is my favourite area for investing right now, is the Northeast. And more specifically, it's Newcastle and the surrounding area. And if you listen to my podcast, The Anonymous Landlord, you hear me talking a lot about investing up in the Northeast and various parts of the country. But the reason I love the Northeast at the moment, and specifically Newcastle, first of all, it's a brilliant city. But that all aside, there's so much development going on in Newcastle right now. Some of the biggest property developers, commercial and residential, are investing millions in and around the Newcastle area. And one very quick philosophy about finding hotspots is follow the money. If there's loads of money going into an area to improve the infrastructure, improve employment, improve travel, improve tourism, residential facilities, commercial facilities, if there's tons of money going into that, follow the money, because you can guarantee that all of that money will uplift the area. Well, I say guarantee, there's no guarantees, it's always a risk. But if you want to minimise or maximise your chances of making profit, then you follow the money, follow the big money. And the second area that I love at the moment is outside Birmingham, so the surrounding parts of Birmingham. And as you know, Birmingham's taken a real big jump in values recently over the last decade because of the infrastructure that's been put in place in and around Birmingham. So what naturally has happened is those cities and towns around Birmingham have benefited from this. And there's a few areas that are being really heavily developed commercially, residentially, as well as their infrastructure. There's been massive employment opportunities for many people. And you create employment, you attract people, you increase demand for property. So outside Birmingham's a really good place at the moment. And the other area, which is a bit more of a traditional investing area, is outside Manchester. Again, same story. Manchester has had a massive amount of development over the last 10 to 15 years. And as a knock-on effect, that has become a reasonably expensive part of the world to live. So the outskirts, the surrounding areas, the cities and the towns of Manchester have also had an uplift, and there's more and more and more development going into those areas now. So again, my rule is follow the money. If you see a ton of development going into an area, and I don't just mean people building a block of flats. I'm not talking about that sort of development. I'm talking about macro development, i.e., tons of major companies building facilities and creating tons of employment and motorway systems and train routes and things like that. If there's a ton of money being invested in that area and the infrastructure of that area, and it creates anything that's going to attract a lot of people. And again, I don't just mean someone's built a fairground and that's going to attract an extra 10,000 people a year. I'm talking about creating large-scale recruitment, employment, large-scale attraction to an area. That is going to have a positive effect on property. So I'm buying in those areas at the moment. Those are the areas that I'm focusing heavily on. I'll always love the southeast, the south and the southeast, because I love the appreciation in this area. There's a lot of capital going around here. But I've been investing in the northeast, around Birmingham, and I'm just starting out outside Manchester more recently, but I try to avoid anything less than about £60,000 in value. Now, that's not a hard rule. That's just generally speaking, I try and avoid properties less than that for a few reasons. First of all, you tend to find the less desirable areas, in my opinion, I find the less desirable areas under £60,000 of value. Now, that's not in all cases. That's not saying that any property, any areas where the values are below 60,000 are dodgy, terrible areas. What I mean is, on the whole, in the areas that I look at, below £60,000 tends to be a less desirable area that I want to invest in. Now, there are other people that take on that risk, spend less money and get really good returns. I'm not saying that these are terrible people. I'm just saying I don't want to invest in those areas. So anything below £60,000 I tend to avoid. But the areas like Newcastle, outside Birmingham, outside Manchester, I am loving the rental yields from those areas. So again, just to repeat, check out the development in areas that you've got your eye on. And if you see large scale commercial and residential development, large scale development of infrastructure, then that is a really good place to go. And obviously, look, if you want to find properties in those hot spots, just let me know. I'll connect you up with my sourcing agents that bring me tons of deals all the time. You don't pay me for that. Just email me, tom@pinkstreet.co.uk, and I'll just connect you up by email with the right properties, with the right sourcing agents, and hopefully everyone can buy the right investment deals. And that's why I do it. I do that because I want everybody to find the right property investment deals through the right people, rather than people getting stitched up and ripped off and losing out because of not knowing the right people or having the right property investments. Mainly, I normally get houses and buy-to-lets, flip-to-lets, or BRRs, things like that. I don't tend to get many HMO. I don't really get many serviced accommodation opportunities, things like that. But certainly, BRR, buy-to-lets, anything like that, let me know. And those areas are really good. Northeast are outside Birmingham, outside Manchester.